When I was in class 6, that's around 11 years old,
I
lost my mom, and then when I was in class 8, I lost my dad. Unfortunately, not just in Kenya, but all over the world, the workplace can sometimes be a place for predators. And in this case, I found myself in one of those situations. I texted him on Facebook.
Hey,
come on, hi, I think
I
saw
you.
Not like that. I think I vaguely remember having a conversation around what if we don't get kids. I saw many specialists, gynecologists. I had injections, I had procedures that were horrible, and nothing, and it was really discouraging. So 2019 all through to 2021, nothing. And it's because of endometriosis. In a season that you have to wait and sit and do nothing, that is the season where you're strongest.
What's popping, you guys? Welcome to another episode of This Is Me podcast. Today, guys, you guys, first of all, you're not even ready. But let me say this. Thank you so much for the feedback that you have been giving us on the guest episode, which we just started like 2 episodes ago. I'm so happy for the feedback that you guys are being encouraged, and you can't wait to see the next guest in line. And I just hope that even from these women, as they share their journey of becoming, as they share their journey to finding purpose, as they share what the Lord has done in their testimonies, I just hope that you get to be encouraged. As you know, this series, it's healed women healing others, and that's just a saying over here that a healed woman will definitely heal another woman. And we truly hope that every woman that gets to watch this can see these women as that light at the end of the tunnel, where they can follow through and know that it will get better. On today's episode, I have an amazing woman, one that I honor so much. She is my best lady, by the way. We have done life together for quite some time now, and I thank God for her. And I just can't wait for you guys to hear her story, to learn, to heal as well, and also to give God the glory for what He has done over her life. So, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, drum rolls for the one and only Yvonne.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, Mama.
Tunaona na watu.
Upon our 20 sides, just me and you.
Okay,
be easy, be calm.
All right.
Please, let me allow you to introduce yourself to our listeners today.
All right. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Yvonne Wamboi Karongo. My husband would say, you have forgotten me, so my name is also Yvonne Wamboi Mushiri. A lawyer by profession, advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I am also a minister of the word, of the gospel, of the music. I don't know, I sing in church, and I love serving in church. I am a mom to two amazing boys who are my world currently. I work from home. So yeah, I know I'm a lawyer who works from home. It's rare, but yes, I work from home, so I get to, raise my boys as well. Basically, those are the hats I wear: mom, wife, lawyer.
And she's amazing.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So whenever you guys hear me threaten you that I'll call my lawyer. Now you have the face. You have the face with the threat.
Some of you, I think, have threatened.
I just love having friends who I can threaten people with, especially Kenya people need to know people, Yeah, but I'm happy to have you, Mama.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Asante.
So we'll just dive right in.
Okay.
First of all, we just did your makeup at V Artistry.
Yes,
let us know, how do you feel?
Yes. Let me tell you, I don't do makeup anywhere else, by the way. Like, they make me feel very confident. I have never been confident putting on makeup, but I started doing it after I got married because my sister-in-laws are big on,
Extra.
looking like a feminine, lady. So so my go-to is always the artistry, and I love it.
And we love
and
you.
they make me feel natural. I don't feel like I have got, my husband anasemanga foundation ile ya kujenga tunaweza fanya
layers.
Layers unachimba ndio utoe. No. Very nice and very elegant.
Because for us, we are all about like enhancing your beauty.
Yes.
Personally, I believe that every woman is beautiful, because I mean, even the Bible says that we are wonderfully and beautifully made. So I believe that that beauty is there. So for makeup, it's not a mask. It's not to change who you are. It's just to enhance and just make you feel and look your best. And we are happy to offer that solution.
Thank you.
And we are happy that you choose us.
Thank you.
At this rate inakaa tu naita watu wenye wanakujanga biashara. Yeah, but let's dive right into it.
Okay.
And even before we let me just plug the studio. Okay. You guys already know we have to pay bills. For this studio, we have to plug you to the best photographers in Kenya. I just said it. Yeah, so check out Eternal Concept Studios, where we are shooting this podcast from. We offer all things photography, from your wedding, your baby bump, your, like, you name it. We are focused on family and growing together. So whether you're there just engaged, you can call this number here, and then just engage us and get to see our packages, and let us walk the journey of creating memories and just capturing those moments for you and your family. Yes. We are plugged, sindio?
Yeah.
Sasa, let's dive into it.
Okay.
Yeah, Yvonne, just take us back. Like your childhood, we can dive there a little bit. Just for the guys, me, I already know you, but I also know I'm always very eager. Even the like this podcast, I want to also learn my friends even deeper, because like, when we are doing live, it's always to highlight here and there, but such a sit down, I also get to learn, and I also get to know you better, and it's just as exciting for me as the viewers. Yeah, so take us back, Yvonne. Where are you coming from?
All right.
Yeah.
Yvonne is a Nyeri girl. I was born in Nyeri town. I think I was born in PGH Hospital. For those of you who are from Nyeri, General Military Hospital of General. And that's where I was born and raised for my first 13 years.
Wow.
So I lived there with my mom and my dad and my brother. I went to school, primary school there. Then I lost both of my parents. So when I was in class 6, that's around 11 years old.
Yeah.
I lost my mom, and then when I was in class 8, I lost my dad. My brother is older than me. Yeah, so he was in high school when my dad passed away. And that is how we found ourselves in the great city of the lights, Nairobi, because then my mom's older brother took us in.
Okay.
Yeah. So all now through my high school, after class 8 is when I moved to Nairobi. I still studied in Nyeri High School. I went to Narumoru Girls from 1 and 2. Under the great mountain. It was very cold, but very beautiful. There used to be a river that used to run uko chini ya miti, and it was very nice to just go and soak and just sit down and watch the river, and see kama river ya huku Nairobi. That one is very clean and very pure. Then for my form 3 and 4, I went to Bishop Gatimo Gandu Girls. That's why I completed
Choppies. Sisi shule yetu hadi ilifungwa. Siwezi peleka watoto wangu high school
ilifungwa. That's a story we want to hear.
A story for another day.
So that's about my education and study.
Like before even we progress.
Yeah.
So you're 13 years, you lose your mom first.
At 11 years.
At 11 years,
yes. Then
2 years after you lose your dad.
Yes.
Like, how was that? How was that for you? And especially, again, healed women heal women. There would be a girl out there at 11, they lose their mother, they lose their dad. Like, how was that for you? How did you navigate that? Because the beauty of this podcast is we are speaking from a point of healing, but there's still someone in it right now. So for me, I think sometimes going back, it's not to remind you of like the sad moment, but it's again to be the light at the end of the tunnel for that girl maybe going through that right now. So how was that? How did you navigate grief at that point in your life?
Okay, for my mom, I said I was 11 years old. So she had been sickly, but I didn't know, you know. So I remember I insisted on going into boarding school at the beginning of my class 6, because my brother had gone to boarding school. So I went into boarding school. So that year when she was unwell, I really wasn't home. Yeah. And whenever we'd close, and again, I'm saying this, I may not be very right, because there are memories of that season that kind of disappeared or are snippets. I think because grief sometimes just also kind of wipes away some memories. So if my brother is watching this, he'll be like, I'm not very sure on some of the details, kabisa, you know, especially about that time of when I was in class 6. So whenever we'd close for the holidays, I remember my mom was not always there. Sometimes you'd be told ameenda kazi Eldoret or something. They were just, I just really don't remember seeing much of her in that season. And then I don't even remember how did she. So I remember being called for a meeting. We went to Green Hills Hotel and we had my uncle and aunties, and they broke the news to my brother and I, you know. I don't remember crying. It's all foggy. But I remember myself at the funeral, just watching people like not really understanding what is happening. And then I think it hit me at some point and I was crying, and I remember my cousin trying to comfort me, my older cousin. He's now like a brother to me, because his parents are the ones who took us in. Just being there, and at some point we were all in the house having fun while the funeral was actually going on. We were playing games and listening to music.
You're a child.
I know.
Like, it's understandable.
But over time, I've been slowly, the memories have been coming back, bits and pieces of who my mom really was. And people have been telling me how amazing she was and how kind she was and how humble she was and all that. But I really wish I had experienced it for myself. Just really experienced her kindness. I know I did, but I don't remember. To be honest, I really don't remember. So for me, losing a mom, I think I lost those moments. I wouldn't know how to raise a girl right now. I think God would have to really help me on that, because I remember I had no one to walk with me, you know, into puberty. No. When you get your first period and all. I remember I got my first period in the car. Gosh, we are being open here.
Yes.
And I was in the car with my dad.
Authentic.
And I think it was just my dad and I. And we stopped in town and walked into a shop. Kumbe had already stained my outfit, but my dad didn't notice. Me, I didn't notice anything. You know, I just, you know, then when we got home, our house girl is who pointed out and told me, nguo yako, and I had a white short. Nguo yako kuna venye. You know, so yeah, that was how that happened. And then of course school helped with these conversations on some of these things. Then for my dad, I think is the one that really hit me. Because my dad, it happened when I was in class 8. So I had in class 7, so I was very skinny. I was a very thin child. So I think everyone was worried that I was sick. So they took me out of boarding school in class 7. And I didn't understand why. I remember they were fussing about my eating, and at some point in first term of class 7, I had snacks. The matron would keep snacks for me. It was illegal, but I used to have snacks. Every evening after preps, I'd go to her house and eat junk food. Just junk food or chips or something. Then the sanatorium, which is where the nurse used to be, used to keep for me fruits. So I had oranges and mangoes, like appetizers. So before supper, before supper in the dining hall, I used to have to go and eat fruits at the sanatorium to give me appetite, so I can eat. So then I'd go, and of course I was always the last to finish food, and the dining hall had very many kids, but somehow I was always the last person to finish food. So sometimes they'd just be like, you go pour your food. So cause I never used to like eating. Mi nimekula kijiko moja mbili nimeshiba, mbona mnaniforce? You get?
I hope that changed.
Well. We shall get there. Anyway, so I was very skinny.
Okay.
So they took me out of boarding school in class 7, my second term. And that's now when I realized my dad had gotten sick as well. Because my dad was tall and really buff. He was a buffed guy. Then all of a sudden, he's looking skinny and gone. Like he doesn't look like himself. Then next month, he's big again. So he had those moments of ups and downs. But in that season, I remember him and I got very close. Like, he's the one who made me love swimming. Because every weekend, I'd go for swimming classes in a hotel back in Nyeri called Outspan. I'd go and he'd leave me there swimming, enjoy myself, then take me out for, again, junk food, fries. So my weekend was always a really nice weekend to have with him. My brother was in boarding at the time, but on holidays, of course, then we'd spend the three of us a lot. So him and I were really tight. So him passing, that one, somehow I knew when he passed away. I don't know how I knew, because when they came to tell me, I told them I know. And they called me from class. I was in class, and I think I went to the staff room to pick something for the teacher, or maybe I went to the toilet, I'm not sure. When I was coming back, I saw an aunt of mine or an uncle of mine. And I went back to class and sat and talked to my desk mate. Sijui kama alikuwa anaitwa Catherine Mwangi. I'm not very sure. And I told her, I've seen a relative of mine here. I think my dad has passed away. I told her that without flinching, without, and I think it really shocked her. Then, true to my word, when the teacher came and called me from class and they took me to the sanatorium, same place for the nurses, I think they thought I'd faint or something. So they took me there. I remember my teacher, Mrs. Cargo, who I really loved back in primary school. I hope she's fine wherever she is. Her and another teacher, and then my uncle and aunt called me into the sanatorium and they broke the news. I didn't scream, I didn't really cry much. I knew for some reason,
Discernment.
Yeah. So they wanted me to pick my bags. Remember, now that's in class 8 now, so I'm back to boarding school, in class 8. I'd gone back to boarding school in first term of class 8.
Okay.
So they wanted me to pick my stuff so that I can go at least to my aunt's place and, grieve from there. And I told them, no, I have class. I need to go to class and finish my lesson. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, I want to go to class. I've left, the teacher was talking. I want to go listen,
What?
I'll come after class.
After the class.
Yeah. So then I went to class, told my desk mate it was true. And then the day ended in the evening. I was taken to my aunt's place. And then, relatives, the usual happened. We went home. Now I don't even know how the house was packed up and we moved. I don't know. I don't remember anything being packed. I don't know how that situation went. I just know I moved.
Wow.
So after I went to my aunt's, I hadn't done my KCPE yet. Yeah. So KCPE was after the funeral, right? Yes, because it was it was after the funeral. It was after the funeral. My mom is the one who passed away after third term exams in class 6. Okay. My brother was in class 8, so it was after his KCPE. My dad was before my KCPE. So, we did the funeral. I also don't remember much around. Goodness gracious. I think my memory blocked some of those things, and they'll come back. Do you think that time
you blocked it? Or
no, at that time for my dad's funeral, that one I felt it. That one for sure. That one I felt it, and I think I grieved for quite a bit.
And
we were really close.
Did that affect your exams?
No, it didn't. Somehow God somehow really helped.
The things of God.
Yeah.
It's the things we don't know how.
Yeah.
But you just know it was God.
Yes.
He carried you through.
Kabisa.
Wow.
Kabisa.
So here you have done KCPE, then now you're living with your uncle and aunt.
Yes.
So how was that? Just like maybe briefly, or any other highlight that you feel now, because this is in your teens now. You're going in your teens.
Yes.
So how was that? How was that transition? Maybe any highlight from that life now before again now you go maybe after Form 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
The transition was very interesting. So remember, I have one brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the two of us. Now I've come into a family. My uncle and aunt have 4 amazing sons, all older than us, way older. Like the last one must be like over 5 years older than me.
Okay.
And that's their last one, and they've got 4 of them. Amazing, amazing men. And then a daughter and another son also had joined the family. So we were, now I had a sister. I had never had a sister. And she was older than me. And then my brother and my cousin. It's a blended family. Let's just say it's a blended family.
Yeah.
So I don't give too much detail as well. It's a blended family. So I ended up having 6 brothers and a sister. I am a teenager. Yeah. So of course kuna kugwaruzana, especially between girls.
Yeah.
So a lot of work had to go into the relationship between me and my sister. You know, 2 girls amongst 6 boys, attention seeking between us. You know, we've come into this new family. Will I be liked? You know, will I be listened to? Will I be loved? So there was a lot of insecurity on my end. There was a lot of fear, a lot of maybe mistrust, because this is a new family.
Yeah.
And them having lived in Nairobi and me in Nyeri, we were not as close by the time I was going there. You get? My aunt hadn't raised any girls before. This was her first time with me and my sister.
Yeah.
That she was raising girls. So I can imagine it may have been difficult for her as well. So at the beginning it was not very easy.
Yeah.
Through high school. The good thing is we all went to boarding, so si ati nilikuwa kwa nyumba the entire time. But of course on holidays, because again we lived in Buruburu, you don't trust the boys in Buruburu. So me and my sister every holiday ushago over the weekends. And I really didn't like it a lot because remember nasomea ushago.
Yeah.
So I'm on holiday, I've come to Nairobi. Weekend mnanipeleka ushago. Like you're cutting short my holiday. You're taking me back to Shag. So I didn't really enjoy it. But now I understand why Buruburu was quite the place.
Na Brian. Omeja.
You know, sana. But for some reason I actually did not like boys. I don't know why. I had a loathing for boys. And I think people, they noticed. So I wasn't being talked to by boys and the likes, you know.
Yeah.
But also I'm an introvert, so I was mostly in the house.
Yeah.
As well. Missy wa kwenda nje and the likes. So yeah, that was the transition. It was, I'd say, interesting. But let me tell you, this family loved us. And they still do to date. Like, not every relative is going to just take a family in, teenagers in to their family, you know, and there's the whole financial situation. You have many kids now you have to really watch out for and cater for. We are finishing high school and getting into university. Will you afford to pay our fees? You know, so I can imagine all the things that were going on in their minds, and yet they took us in. You know, so I really admire them for that, for having taken us in, and even for the hard times we give them as teenagers. Yeah, because for sure we did not give them
many teenagers
soft life
at once.
Many teenagers at once. All of us like Kirende teenagers, you know, and yeah, but we rose above every challenge and tukamaliza high school, got into university, and at the time the government was running a program called PEPFAR. I don't remember exactly what it stands for. PEPFAR, PEPFAR. And they were partnering with the USAID, which is sad that right now, I don't know whether, of course it's not there anymore, and now even USAID is out of the country, you know, for whatever reasons. But at the time, it really helped, honestly, it really helped, because they were paying for orphans and vulnerable children. So somehow, by God's grace, we got the scholarships. So I was paid for, my brother was paid for, we were paid for our education in university, all through university, by the USAID and the government of Kenya through the PEPFAR program. And so yeah, I went into university. I did law, and then finished, went into KSL, also paid for through KSL.
Wow.
You know, and at the time it was quite an amount. And at that time my uncle had retired. So of course wondering where is money gonna come from, but God just came through. Actually, I remember always telling him whenever I'd want like a 100 bob, akinisaidia tu somoja, I want to do this. He'd be like, I have nothing in my wallet. Like, let me even show you. I just have like these 50 bob. And I'd go in and pick out the 50 bob and tell him, God is going to fill it in. He's seeing the work you're doing, he's going to fill it in. And later on, I found out that God always filled it in. After I'd pick it out, God would someone would call him who had a deni and say, I want to pay you, and he'd pay back. Yeah.
Wow.
In a nutshell.
You know, even as you're speaking, and I know at times we get comfortable with life where we are, and sometimes we forget. But even as you're talking, like, you can seriously see God's hand in every stage of your life. Because even the fact that you lost both your parents and you are still sane to even do your exam and perform well, like, that cannot be it cannot be explained. Like, that is God, you know. And so for me, even like the reason as to why we are having guests and we are sharing, it's our story for his glory. And truly, like, from just what you have shared so far, like, I can see God at 11 years old, at 13 years old, at teenagehood, like this family taking you up, and your brother, like, you guys not being separated. That's again God. And then now even the whole scholarship thing from university. Wow, glory to God. Glory to God.
Kabisa.
Wow.
It's like God knew from the onset what would happen. And he charted our path. Like, sometimes I wonder, if my parents were still here, what would life look like? And to be very honest, I regret nothing of how life turned out, because I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And I remember back then in primary school, because I was also in the CU, like a small child, but somehow in my mind I knew my dad has gone, but I have a father in God.
Wow.
And that's what I held on to. Like, my dad is God. My dad is God, and that's what carried me to date. That I knew, despite whatever has happened, there's someone watching out for me. And I remember my brother and I at some point saying, it's the two of us now, you know. And one of the promises we made to each other was never to speak to each other, and at the end not say I love you. You don't know whether you get the chance again. So if you hear my brother and I talking, we say I love you a lot. I know it's not very common. But it's something we have. And I've put it even in our family now. And even with our close friends. We always say, I love you, you know. But we also said, we know that God is with us. So even in the hardships that we face, he'll call me and tell me this is happening. Or I call him, and we always encourage each other and say, remember who our Father is. God anajua. God anajua. So you remember, and I keep saying, the Israelites, when they left Egypt, and God asked them to carry stones of remembrance, you know, so that you can remind the generations after you what the Lord has done for you. For me, these are stones of remembrance, you know. That season of grief for our parents, I carry it forward about of the faithfulness of God. I carry that stone and say, God took me through here. So even when another hardship comes and you almost forget that other hardship because of you think this one is big, you just remind yourself and you carry that stone and say, but he took me out of this situation when I had no energy and no power on my own. You know, right now we are working, you can have some money to get you out of a situation. But back then you're a child at the mercies of relatives, you know, at the mercies of people around you who judge you or who feel things have happened to you and so they can take advantage of you. But you remember that God took you out of that situation. And so even whatever situation you face next, he'll still take you out of it.
He's still there. He's still there. Wow. And even like your story just reminds me of the famous verse, Jeremiah 29:11. And even before that verse, God actually calls Jeremiah and tells him, Jeremiah, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. And he goes ahead in the same chapter and says now about, for I know the plan I have for you. So like clearly, at times I know we just think, oh, it's because I came from this family, or it's because, but it's never about those things.
Yeah.
Our parents are just vessels that God used. And now, like, clearly we can see that even in that, the good plan was still in process.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here we are, Yvonne, graduated,
Graduated.
lawyer of the High Court of the High
The
Court
High
of Kenya.
Yeah.
What?
I have never stood before a judge. I don't practice in court, actually.
Yeah.
Though I am an advocate of the High Court. I currently work in a tech company. I found myself working for tech companies, by the way. But before we get to work, where I am currently, I remember when I got my first job, I was very happy. It was an internship. I won't say where, but in this city of Nairobi.
Humuhumu
too. I got an internship, and I remember telling one of my aunties, and she, like, you could see her face, she wasn't happy because she knew the company I was going to. But me, I'm thinking, hey, it's money in my pocket. What do you mean? You know?
The first job, it's always the most exciting.
Exactly. So me, I'm excited, and I'm going to become this amazing lawyer, and I'm going to do great things. So yeah, I joined the company, and they gave me amazing opportunities, by the way. Like, I'd handle my own files, like that kind of responsibility. I'm not even done Kenya School of Law. I haven't even gone for my advocacy program. I'm just fresh from graduation.
Wow.
You know. So I started the job, I think, in was it August of 2010. So it's before graduation. And then stayed there. So towards the end of my time there, it became a bit difficult. And this, I was telling thee off air.
Yes.
Off air. That this is a story I really haven't shared publicly because of the shame and the stigma it carries. But I'm gonna share it.
Yes,
anyway,
please.
It happened to me anyway, and we're gonna use it for God's glory.
Amen.
To shame the devil.
Yes.
So unfortunately, not just in Kenya but all over the world, the workplace can sometimes be a place for predators. And in this case, I found myself in one of those situations where someone decided that they could control me just because they had a position higher than me, and I needed their help to be able to become a lawyer. You get? So they would ask for sexual favors, not to the extent of rape or anything like that, but still uncomfortable favors. I remember I used to go to the office very early. By then we had moved from Buru. We were on this other side of Westlands, So I'd get to town and be in the office by around 7. So sometimes I'd get there before the person who has the key. So I wait outside, then it's open, then I get in, and I just start going through my files or whatever it is I'm doing. And that guy, I think, realized I'd go to the office early. So he used to come after I've arrived, he'd be the second one to arrive. And the way the office was set up, there was a reception. Then past the reception, there's a door. So you open the door, you find the general area where the other lawyers would sit. And then after that, you'd open another door. There's a partner's office and another partner's office. So it's one of these partners. And so he'd open the door. So I used to sit in the general area. So it's past the reception. So amefunga mlango ya receptionist. And he's trying to force a kiss. And I'm 21. I'm a child, basically. Like, who's an adult? Okay, we're adults by ID and everything, but mentally, really, you're still really young. So I used to hold biro pens, nashika kalamu hivi as a weapon, and I tell him I'm gonna stab you if you come anywhere near me. So every morning, that's what I used to face.
What?
I was like, okay, today I even tried to make pepper spray at home. Busy nini za marashi. I tried to make pepper spray to carry around. So akinikaribia mimi namspray. It didn't work. Of course, the spray, I mean. But I used to hold biro pens. Hata tukiingia lift, tunaenda court na yeye, lakini mimi niko lift na biro. Because anatafuta chance tuko peke yetu kwa lift to try and hold me or something. And I'm like, I'm going to stab you and I'm going to scream. You get? So after a while, I'm just like, what kind of workplace is this? What kind of... Ndio nikuwe tu lawyer. Wacha tu ikae. You know, so I I quit one day. I just felt God tell me, today is the day you quit. And I remember the main reason or the trigger that made me quit was I shared it with one of my colleagues. Everyone knew what was happening. It seems to be a culture in that particular place. And I told this one person, I told her, this is what is happening. And she told me that I was leading the guy on. She said it was my fault, you're leading the guy on, blah, blah, blah. I was like, what? So clearly things had been spreading in the company, maybe even more rumors than, exaggerated things about what was happening. So that day, I nikamsikiza, and I finished my work that day. I went to the office and drafted my resignation. Because, I was so young, I was afraid of these people. But that day, my fear iliisha kabisa. I did my resignation. I sent it over to the two partners and told them, it's been real. Thank you so much. It was a Wednesday. I remember. It was a Wednesday. I told them I'll be here until Friday. In case of anything, my files, again, God knew that would be my last day. I had cleared all my files. I had nothing pending.
Wow.
So I gave a report on all my files and told them, I'm done. In case you have any questions, I'm here until Friday. And that particular partner, I remember telling me, why are you leaving? I'm like, are you serious? You're the reason I'm leaving. Of course, I didn't write that in the report. But I'm like, it's you. You're the one who's made me leave. Like, he had zero shame. And sijui kama ataona hii kitu, but, like, shame on you, really.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
And even as you're speaking, one, these are conversations that need to be held. Because Jose, I saw that story of that lady who went for a work trip with the boss and then she ended up being killed.
Wow.
And this gender-based violence has become so much, and we cannot just think it's in the houses. It's even in the workplace. And it's so sad that the victim, there's this shame around it and the stigma. And to even think you go to a colleague thinking that at least if I hear this, maybe I might get a solution, and they end up blaming you for it, And for me, I feel like this conversation need to be held, and especially because it's not a new thing, and it's not the thing of the old. If anything, it's happening more even from in today, and you always find people siding with the boss. But is it really worth you carrying trauma, the soul ties and all these things, just because someone does not think no is a complete answer, So you're bold for even speaking out, and I don't even know why the enemy puts shame around the things that we have gone through. It happened to me. Then why should I feel the shame? The other person should be feeling the shame, but it's not how life apparently works. But I think now such conversation make it okay for someone watching us today to know that it's not okay for someone to harass you and just act like, it's a favor I'm doing them, mama, they're doing me a favor just because I want to go to the next level in my career and all that. So thank you for being vulnerable about that bit.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think the reason why we are ashamed, I think once you get to the age of 18, you're told now the decisions that you make and the consequences are all upon you. It's now your fault if you get into trouble. If you're a child, it's
you
different.
Can be
even the law, you will call some of these things defilement or whatever. But once you're past 18, unless it is actual rape, and even then they look for why you consenting. You get.
And it's so sad. It's so sad. But I think we need to change the narrative, one conversation at a time. But it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had. And I'm happy right now I think people are woke in Kenya, even with the campaigns that have been going around on the same conversation. I truly believe there is more, and if more people would be vulnerable to share, then maybe it would even save someone else to know if Yvonne said no, I can say no. It doesn't always have to be what do I do after this? Sorry, first of all, that happened, and even shame on the colleague that was it's your fault. Because I also feel such people are the ones that are making it very hard for people to come out, for people to say no, and for it to look like it doesn't actually matter what I want, because people are gonna judge me anyway. Yeah,
true,
so shame
true.
shame on the boss, shame on the colleague.
Yeah.
So after there you quit. What next for Yvonne?
So I quit. Of course, my reason that I gave, my official reason, was that I had to finish KSL. So I had started KSL at the time.
Okay.
And for those who've done KSL, you know it's a very intense program. So I went into KSL, finished, passed my exams, got admitted to the bar. Si bar ya pombe. Got admitted to the bar as an advocate. And then what happened after that? Yes, I did my pupillage. It's required of you to be admitted to the bar first to do pupillage. So I did my pupillage in another law firm.
What is pupillage? Pupillage
is like become a apprenticeship, training for you now. What you've learned in school, you apply here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did that for the required number of months. Finished in 2013, got admitted in 2014. Then mimi nikaingia kazi ya kanisa. The whole lawyer went and worked in church.
Ukasema mimi Mungu nimemaliza, kwani it was degree for the parents?
No, I hadn't. No. It actually was not degree for the parents, but I actually felt, so I went for a mission. I don't know why it always happens. When you go for mission, you want to work in church. So I went for mission to Lamu. We were serving the communities in Lamu with our church. I was going to a church called K3C, Kileleshwa Covenant Community Church. Amazing church. Yes, parent to City Lighters.
Yeah, parent to a church.
Yes, so that's where I went with them for mission to Lamu. When I came back, it was very clear that join ministry. So I did. My family were not happy.
I can imagine. Like, we have been waiting for the money.
You are a whole lawyer,
you
my
start
friend.
Earning for the family.
Yes, stop losing your way. So they were not happy that I joined church. And I remember there was a plan. Najua mnadhani sikujua hii plan. But there was a plan to summon me for a meeting.
The moment of truth. Family meeting.
There was a plan to summon me for a meeting. We shall go with my grandparents and talk about how I've lost my way. This decision is not wise. Go back to your line. You've done law, go back to your line. And I understand where it was coming from. They were worried. I mean, I'm an orphan. Who's gonna fend for me? Like you've raised me well, and then I turn away from what this prestigious career that you've helped me get into. Yeah. Of course, as a parent, you'll think you're losing your way. Why in the world would you do that? Kanisa hailipi, But for me, I felt so strongly that I needed to join the church in terms of full-time ministry. So I joined in 2014. Actually, when I was being admitted, I was already working in church.
Oh, yeah. So it was just a transition.
Yes. So I worked.
It's like full time now.
So I worked as nilikuwa nini? Nilifanya discipleship. I was under a department called DCT.
Oh, I love discipleship. I'm currently serving in discipleship. I really love it.
So I was in the discipleship team, helping out, I think, with T groups. They are called T groups. It's like life groups. Life groups. Then somewhere in between those 2 years I worked in church, I then now started leading worship in church. So that's the season where for real I feel I really grew with God. Because I remember on Thursdays were our half days at church. So people would come to work and then leave in the afternoon. But for the worship team, it was the day we had practice from 5 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah. So by that time I had moved out of home. I was staying on my own also, which was not considered a very wise decision because again, kanisa hailipi vizuri. Yeah. And I moved to Kile.
Bougie. But you're bougie.
I moved to Kile with my miga. Not miga. It was not a good amount by our standards, but it was a God-given provision. So I moved to Kile. Very unwise decision for other people, but for me, what I was thinking was I can walk to work.
Yeah, I'm saving on transport.
I eat at work. I'll eat my breakfast there. I'll eat my lunch there.
So ni rent.
Lunch ikibaki nitabeba kasapa hapo ninako kwa nyumba. Ni rent pekee, So anyway, so I lived in Kile. did not have the money to live in Kile, but somehow I lived in Kile and did not borrow a cent from anyone.
Wow.
Yeah. Eventually, I moved house again, but still within Kile NHC. And I was renting from a friend of mine, actually. So my friend was in the worship team also at church. Eventually, she employed me as well. So when it was time to transition, I remember applying to Hillsong. Yes, the Hillsong that we have all heard about. I applied to Hillsong to do music there, or to do university there. I don't exactly remember. And I remember someone called me from their campus in Australia, and she asked me, do I have this correct that you're a lawyer? I've seen your CV. Are you a lawyer? And you're working in church? I said yes. And she told me, I really feel the Holy Spirit prompting me to tell you that God wants to use your career as a lawyer. And at that point, it became constantly, it's like God kept telling me it's time to go back. So I had done 2 years. It was towards the end of 2015.
Okay.
And then my landlady come friend gave me a position in her company, and I became a legal consultant. So I left at the end of 2015. 2016, I joined the company. I was still leading worship in church though, but not as a full-time employee. So I started consulting with my friend for various companies, and we did that 2016, 17, 18. Then in 2019, the company I was working for was part of the companies that were working at Dusit. Okay. The Dusit that was attacked. Yes. So there was that whole situation around, we were running for our lives out of that property. God saved us. Unfortunately, we lost 6 colleagues.
Yeah, I remember.
It was a really tough season. Tough season. But mid of that year, 2019, then I transitioned now as a full-time employee into that company as part of their legal team. So you've seen, sijatafuta kazi. Yeah. This entire time after joining church, sijatafuta kazi. Somehow, I've been pulled into something, yeah. So while working in church, that is 2014, I met a young man by the name of David Mushiri.
Hi, young man.
Yeah, so in 2014, this amazing, I don't know whether it's amazing right now, but TRM became the new talk of town. Yeah. 2013 December, crazy. So everyone had flocked into TRM to see. So my cousins, they were younger than me, they're still younger. They were younger than me, had come from high school. For me, I was done with high school. So they wanted to go and check out this new mall. So me nikaenda pia, I followed them. They told me, let's go. We went to the mall all the way from Pandeza West to huko TRM to see this new place. So while I was walking around is when I noticed, I saw Davy. But he didn't see me. Mi namwambianga, mi nilipita mbele yako. Yani I was in your line of sight. Apa, but ni sawa tu ulinilenga. Anyway, so I texted him on Facebook.
Hey.
Kamwambia, hi, I think I
saw you.
Not like that.
You want to admit to him, I want David to be here to give his side of the story.
Today is my turn. Now I can tell him. I'll tell my truth. Anyway, so nikam text Facebook. Nikamwambia, I think I've seen you. When did you come back? I hope everything is well. I heard you were in Juba. I just wanted to say hi. Just in case, ameniona pia na rakadhani nimemlenga. I was being a good Christian girl.
But
I was being a sister in Christ. Anyway, so I texted him. Then he responded. So when he comes, he'll tell you how all that, what was going through his mind.
Coming up, David's side of the story.
So anyway, we started talking from there. So he took my number, and then me, again, being a good Christian lady, I told him, you come church, utembe, utusalimia at least. Being all inviting and all, Yeah, so...
Sister Yvonne. Shalom.
Akakuja kanisa akakuja kanisa. And I remember that day, that particular Sunday, I was going to visit my sister along Thika Road. Mi najua mtu anaishi Thika Road. Sijui. I'm going to visit my sister. So after church, I was like, thank you so much for coming. Mi naenda. See me, I'm sure he has conversations with the youth pastor, he's busy. He has friends in the church.
Yeah.
Hajakuja kuniona. So me, I took my stuff and I was heading out. He followed me. So remember, this is a noisy person. I'm an introvert. I'm not interested in conversation. I want to walk slowly. Again, I'm busy. Was I in the worship team that day? I'm tired. It's a Sunday. You're exhausted. I want to just go, get into a matatu, you know, get to Tao, go to Thika Road, see my sister. But now he's like, he had a purpose why he had come to church. It wasn't to see TC. Although TC is a very good, you know,
I mean,
good
he
friend.
had an invitation, guys.
Wewe Mungu wewe. Anyway, so we went to Tao together. So when we got to town, I was very sure we were going in different directions. So I was happy. Tumefika Tao. Sawa. Bye. Unaenda wapi?
Nice guy.
Mimi naenda Zima. Naenda Kahawa West. So hata ashuki njia, mimi ndio nashuka wa kwanza. So I'm with this guy until the end of my journey. Anyway, tukakaa naye kwa gari. The entire time nilikuwa tu naangalia nje hivi kwa dirisha. I'm like, woi, stories za Juba. Story.
Na hizi story wanafaa watuambie za mwisho na tuseme zimeishia hapo. Hizi story tumesikia sana.
Hawakuja wazisemea hapa.
Ndio na pia tukue na record.
Waongei watoke.
Na tukue na record.
So anyway, from there we just had conversations. Then at one point I really wanted him to ask me out so I can say no. That's my plan. Because I had learned the hard way never to assume. Because kuna chali mimi nilikuwa jua anajaribu kunikatia. So before anikatia mimi nikamwambia, imagine I'm not interested. And then he turned it akaniambia, nani alikwambia nilikuwa interested in you? So I learned my lesson. So I wasn't about to say no na stories wa kitu, sio? So I started pushing on, like, why are you always on? Mbona unashinda ukinitext? Mbona unashinda? Unataka nini? Brother, what do you want? But alikuwa na hepa hiyo story. Then eventually I think akachoka sana na mimi. Kaniambia, I just want to let you know, by the way, my intention is that you will be my wife. Sasa hiyo si swali. Nitasema no.
You're ready. Yako kwa jani already.
Yeah. Hiyo si swali. And then at that time, it really shocked me because I was like, like he's so certain. And I'd come from a space where people are not certain. Ako hayuko. So when he said that, I was like, okay, karibu seme go deep papa. But that
when is the date?
That shocked me for sure. That shocked me. So I was like, okay, I can't say no. There's no question here. So I told him, you pray about it, and I'll pray about it. And for sometimes as chat girls, we use that as a way to dismiss guys. You pray about it, then you kwambia God amesema hapana or whatever.
Yeah.
And he prayed about it. I prayed about it. And I remember when my last breakup, God alikuwa amenipatia verse. Na akisisemi hivi ati ndio ushpirini ni it's the way it actually happened. God gave me a verse akasema, and it may be out of context with the situation, yeah. But alisema, the glory of the latter house shall be greater than the former. And in this place shall you find peace or rest, something. And I remember I shared that scripture with him in one of our conversations. And God had given him the exact same scripture after his breakup. So we were like, okay. That's a huge coincidence.
Yes.
But from there we started really asking God, okay, what's this thing?
Usipotele. Acha Mungu tunajua ako. So you were told, I want you to be my wife.
No, he didn't say that.
Oh, like I see.
He said,
I'm hoping.
You will be my wife.
You will be my wife.
Yes.
So let me know how, like, yes, umemwambia, let's pray about it. But how are the feelings? Twende kwa feelings.
Kwa feelings. Of course, for me at that point.
Because we can't say I was just like, because again, you were waiting to be asked to say no.
No, exactly. Sasa ameniambia you will be my. Hajasema God has told me that you are my wife. You know, I was running away from those people also. God has told me you will be.
Yeah.
So me sina say. God pia hizi niambia, you know. So at that point when aliniambia, I didn't want to tell you this, but because you really insisted, you will be my wife. Then akaniambia, but you go pray about it, seek God about it. I really believe you'll come to the same conclusion. Hakuforce vitu. I really believe you'll come to the same conclusion. And for sure I prayed about it. And I felt in my heart.
How could skip when you ulishuka ukasema, oh, my man. You just went to pray.
I prayed about it. I think for me, again, I was intrigued by the audacity of someone telling you such a thing, you know. But I was also really impressed by his level of certainty. And he had made up his mind, you know. In an era where people watu wanachezeana, you don't know whether someone is in or out. He has already decided. I was really impressed, and that's what now kept me there. Sikusema, hey, you're mad. Bye. I didn't say that. I was really impressed, and also because I know him from church, and I know some of his friends who are really straight people. I was like, okay, let me see what this is all about. Then we started dating, but he traveled again to Juba, so it was long distance, which also really helped because Hayuko area.
Yeah.
So we have really serious conversations, because I was also not looking to date for the sake of dating.
So he goes back to Juba.
Yeah.
And how long did you guys long distance date? And how soon did you guys walk down the aisle?
Okay. So he went back in February of 2014. We dated long distance. I think the war broke out that side in 2014. But anyway, he came back for his friend's wedding in June of, was it 2015? No, 2015 alikuwa asharudi. June of 2014 akakuja kwa harusi ya beshte yake, then akarudi. Then war broke up. No, war broke out the year before. That's how he was here in December. What happened in that year of 2014? So he was working for a radio station. Then that radio station ikasambaratika nini, so he got a job in a graphic design company or design something like that. And he was working with a Ugandan and then some South Sudanese and, you know, the whole mixture. And the Ugandan guy stole money. It was a Saturday. Devi was off of work that day. But that Ugandan guy stole some money and fled the country. But him and that Ugandan guy used to speak Swahili. The only Swahili speakers in that company. So when Devi came to work on Monday, he was arrested. Anashindwa, what is happening? And it was just before Christmas. What is happening? Kwani what have I done? Ni haambiwi ni nini, anasikia tu wanaongea Arabic, hashikanishi ni nini na happen. So later he discovers he's being told he stole money. Why? Because he was speaking Swahili with the other guy. The other guy is nowhere to be found. He fled the country. It was a lot of money. So yeah, akaingizwa ndani. So later on now, when now it was whatever investigations were done, akaamua sasa anaweza releasiwa. But haizi releasiwa because the person in charge of the station ako wapi? Ameenda Krisi. Ayuko. So my Mr. David is in jail, inaitwaje cell, ako cell ndani, and I have Krisi ndani ya cell. But the community in that area, the Christian community there, he was going to Watoto Church. Walikuwa with him day and night. Wanamletea chakula. So he keeps saying the way he really enjoyed being in there because he was singing Christmas carols with the inmates. Walikuwa tu wanaimba. Anapenda Christmas, walikuwa tu. Me on this end in Kenya, I am dying.
Stressed.
I'm stressed. He's in, what do you mean he's in jail? So him is singing Christmas carols.
Who am I marrying? Who is my husband?
Ako Juba naimba Christmas carols, having the time of his life. Me, I'm here thinking, oh my God, he's in jail. I didn't enjoy that Christmas, by the way.
Well, can
I couldn't talk to him, so I was talking with his sisters. They were giving me updates because they're getting updates from the other side as well, you know. So me, I made up my mind, nikasema akikuja. First of all, I was so upset because when he got out, I told him, you have to come. Can you come immediately? But he can't come immediately. Money, nini, you know, flight, blah, 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 or whatever means. It's far. So, so nikamwambia, wait, so I was really upset in that season. I remember I was called, a friend of mine, a couple friend from church was getting married, and they asked me to go sing at their wedding. Na ilikuwa happy Watamu. So me, I had a paid holiday at Watamu Tree House. Guys, you need to Google Watamu Tree House. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. So I took that opportunity to just go and pray and, you know, like, stop being stressed because I was really upset. The whole of January, mimi nilikuwa tu nimeshinda nimekasirika. So Feb nikaenda for the wedding. It was Feb, right? I think so. Feb 2015. And then by the time I was coming back, he was now coming. He came to the country. And I remember I talked to a friend of mine and I told her I'm going to break it off. And she had never met David, but she told me, please don't take him for granted. So that kept ringing in my mind, don't take it for granted, don't take him for granted, don't take him for... So we met up at Sitam Valley Road, sat down. I told him he loves Juba for some reason.
Yeah.
I told him, I don't want to pull you out of your area of ministry. I know you love Juba. I know that's where your ministry is, and you really want to be in that space. So I don't want to pull you out. It would be very mean of me to pull you out. But sifanyi long distance tena with you, especially in Juba, because first of all, it's volatile.
Yeah.
It was a season where sometimes ananipigia ananiambia, leo tumeambiwa tukae home to go under lockdown because they're coming to every house to look for weapons and guns. And they are coming with guns to search your house. Like, it's very not a good place to live that way, you know. So ananiambia hizi vitu zote sielewi mbona ataka kurudi. Because I'm always living in anxiety. So I told him, you can go back, it's okay. God has called you there. But this time around when you're going back, urudi na mimi in mind. So you're free to go. Yeah. So he sat down and he thought about it. I remember he sat down for like 30 minutes. Tuko kanisa, it's not a Sunday, so it's empty. People are coming for their own things. Si tumeketi tu hapo, nimeketi tu nyuma, haniongeleshi, ameketi tu 30 minutes. He just sat down, aniangalia chini, ananiangalia 30 whole minutes without saying a word. Then in the end he said, I really feel as though if I leave, I'll be leaving something good. Not me, what we had.
Yeah.
Like, if I leave, I'll be leaving something good that I'll really miss out on. So he decided not to go. It was really hard for him because uku anabaki kudu hana job.
Yeah.
And in Juba you can hustle and get some serious jobs and serious money. Sasa ako uku, he's staying without a job. He doesn't know how to make ends meet. He doesn't know where he's gonna live, you know. But he stayed. And I remembered my friend's words, don't take him for granted. So nikasema, oh, it didn't end up the way I thought it was going to end up.
Was part of you hoping that he actually chooses to stay?
Yes, honestly. No. Actually, part of me was actually hoping for a fresh start. I was ready. I think I was so ready. I was sure.
I think you process things.
Yes, and move on.
And then you're just like, by the time you're airing it to the next person, your mind is already made up.
Exactly.
You have already moved.
Exactly. Because I was like, what is keeping him here? Hana kazi, hana. Me, I was sure he was going to go. So he decided to stay. And
you're not praying, oh God, let him choose me?
No.
Hey.
No.
Roho ngumu.
Aki, I'm a nice person. I'm a nice person.
Hey.
I'm a nice person. Anyway,
it is your story. But it's a good thing.
Yeah.
The thing we say with Sam is, our weaknesses, at times they are strength in certain situation, and vice versa. Our strength sometimes can be a weakness. Like me being a choleric at times, there are times you don't want that choleric because you know it will work against you, and then there are times you want that, the strength that comes with that personality. So I think it's the same. Like at that point it can be like, because you can really miss out on something good.
True.
Because you already like, I have had this conversation with myself, I'm done. And then maybe it wasn't time for it to be done. But also in terms of heartbreak, where maybe something can really break you, like you can make peace with something very easily, and so still the same thing that is a weakness in one area, it can also be a strength in another.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful and weird at times. Because you know, for us girls, we are like, oh, I hope he choose me. I hope
and then he doesn't.
You know, and then we have the fairy tale kinda.
I think I try to lower my expectations to the uku. Imagine, and then angesema mimi nenda Juba. Alafu
you
I was
die.
there hoping you die. No, my friend.
You go to Juba. You tell him, I'm moving, I'm coming with you.
My brother had told me, don't you dare think. Because my brother had gone to Juba for a work thing. Because he was working for an energy company. So he'd gone to Juba. And he went then war broke out when they were there. So he was being evacuated. And you're seeing bodies are being put in the plane. Of people who've been, so he's like, by the way, when do you go? You get? So I knew there's no way I was going to Juba.
So it's either him or he just moved on with his life.
Exactly.
Wow.
So anyway, he decided to stay.
So he stayed.
Yeah. He stayed, and then now it's for sasa job. Anyway, he also got into full-time ministry at Nairobi Chapel. Started working. They started he did the Kinara program.
Okay.
So while he was there now is when we actually decided, you know what? I think let's decide we're getting married. So we started planning our wedding.
Oh.
I hadn't even told my parents anything at this point. Because me, I was like, I don't want to introduce just Jama Ivi.
Yeah.
Then it didn't work out, then you bring someone else. Even my brother didn't know. My brother, who we are tight right now,
Where?
he didn't know. That was 2015. 2015, we dated all of 2015. Then 2016, we started, I think we decided to get married and started planning towards it. I don't even know when we started planning the wedding. I have no recollection. I don't know.
You just went as you went.
We got married in 2016, August.
Yeah, I remember.
August.
But I at this point, Devi was friends with my husband. But for me, I had never met Devi. I had never met you.
Yes.
And so I think now I got to know about you guys when Devi sent him the wedding invitation. And I was just like, oh, okay, good for you. But I didn't even come for the wedding. No.
Okay.
Because I was just like, for me, I'm now those people. I'm not an introvert, I would say. But I also, like, I'm an ambivert. Like, where...
The mixture.
Yeah. So for people who I don't know, now I'm just like, now we are going to go there. So I'm going to expect you to be with me the whole time. You're also meeting some of your friends maybe when you mmekuwa na wao. Like, I didn't want to like spoil that moment for him. Yeah. So I was just like, you go. Like, and then now I met you guys after your wedding.
I think we came to your house.
Yes, you guys. You're so sweet. Yeah, and that's where I met you. And for some time I was just like, because now you know, for me being an ambivert, also I'm not, like, I can have casual conversation, but when it's friendship, like, sometimes I'm scared. So I was just like, I don't know if we're gonna click with Yvonne, and then I don't want to spoil your friendship with Devi, but it's okay. You guys can continue.
We'll have fun.
But see God.
Yeah. So, talking about wedding guests. Your wedding Devi alikuja June of 2015. Aki, I know he'll tell you this, but I really tried to dress up to meet his friends. Acha niweke in suspense hapo. It did not go well. Yeah.
What happened?
Aki, come to think of it, that dress was very ugly. Now imagine anataka kuintroduce his lawyer girlfriend to his friends. Aki pole babe.
But I think also for you, the fact that you lost your mom at a young age, like, there's a part of femininity mothers bring that maybe you never, and then even in the adoptive family, you come to a home of men. 6 dudes. You know. Yeah. So extend some grace to yourself.
Thank you. Devi umesikia.
Sahi ameimproved. Devi. Huyu ni bibi mwenye wa 10 years ago. Wako hivi.
Yeah.
So you plan your wedding, August you get married, and now this is a new transition.
Yes.
So how was maybe the first year? Because normally the first year, to everyone, research has shown that it's the hardest year. Were you honeymooning? Ama drama ndio ilianza? Ama how was that dynamic for you guys? And especially you being an introvert. Are you the drama sometimes?
No.
You're always like, it's fine.
I'm that one for it's fine. I think I have zero drama, by the way. Not to beat my own drum. But it was a fairly easy 1 year. I think the hardship there was trying to reconcile the families at the beginning was a bit hard. I remember we couldn't just visit my family. We couldn't, because there was heartbreak. But that was solidified now. We are really tight on both sides. But that was the biggest hurdle in our first year of marriage.
Okay.
Yeah, but people used to say we are honeymooning. Us guys didn't think we were honeymooning. But with hindsight, it was honeymoon. The first year was really swift and easy. The third year then became the one people actually even say when you hit the third year is when things start getting real sometimes. If you get past the third year, then it's a bit easier. So for sure the third year was tough for us. One of it being because we had been trying we had decided to start trying for a child. And it wasn't happening, you know. So I have endometriosis. Let
me first ask, so you're trying, was it a conversation that you guys had? And how was that conversation before marriage? Because I think that's usually one of the biggest conversations.
Yes. So we decided to take 2 years before trying for a child.
Okay.
And he knew I was unwell, or rather not really unwell. It's not a sickness, it's a condition.
Yeah.
But I also didn't fully understand it myself. Yeah. So we had talked about, I think we had, he says we may not have, but I think I vaguely remember having a conversation around what if we don't get kids, you know. So anyway, one of the things we had said is we were open to adoption, etc. We always say that. People always say that when you're about to get married, yeah. Or when rubber meets the road, it's a different story.
Get real.
Exactly. So come year 3, we're trying for a child, and it's not happening, you know. And family, God, yani thank God for our families. No one was pressuring us into anything. When are the grandkids? No one ever asked us that question. At least not to our faces, unless they were asking each other.
Yeah.
But no one ever asked us, when are the kids coming? So I saw many specialists, you know, gynecologists. I had injections, I had procedures that were horrible, and nothing, you know, and it was really discouraging. So 2019 all through to 2021, nothing. And it's because of endometriosis, which I won't pretend to be an expert in it, even though I have that condition. But it's a condition that kind of gives you what is called secondary infertility, yeah, because of how it is, yeah. So in 2021, then we conceived, and we were happy.
Unakimbiza
syllabus. Nisimamishe wapi? Wapi? Niambie.
So there's a statement you said, you had conversation of what if you don't get children, or rather you think you had, David doesn't think you had. Maybe what had triggered that, because normally I don't think it's a thing that people get into marriage. What if we don't, like, it's always it's almost like everyone thinks
it's
like
obvious.
As you're planning, it's obvious,
it's automatic,
it's when I want it to happen.
I think because I discovered I had that condition in 2015. So you don't know for sure whether you have it. Even the doctors tell you you'd have to go through what is called laparoscopy to confirm that you have it. But with extremely, extremely painful periods, really, really painful, bad periods, that was the suspicion. Yeah, because I'd have so much pain. I wouldn't get out of bed. You know, I wouldn't. It was difficult even having any bowel movement. Going to the toilet was excruciating. It's like someone is ripping your uterus out of your body. It was so painful, you know. So and then there were hot flashes and cold chills, just a myriad of things. Very uncomfortable. So the doctor said, with those symptoms, it suggests that you may have endometriosis, but we will not know until you have this particular procedure. But they gave me ways to treat it, to manage the pain, which is mostly by use of contraceptives, because the contraceptives have a certain hormone that then lowers the particular hormone that's causing the endometriosis to flare up. Yeah.
So you said you discovered in 2015.
2015, yes.
So what was happening before?
Before I was just thinking I have very bad painful cramps.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
So 2015 just worsened.
Yes, 2015 became worse, and then again, remember, I had moved out of home now and I was working, so I was able to take myself to hospital.
Okay.
You know, the generation before us may not know of these conditions. They just think painful periods are the norm, and they are not. Actually, if you're having very bad cramps, it's not normal.
Yeah.
You know. But we're told itaenda watoto wakikuja, that's what you're told. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so in 2015, when we discovered that it may be endometriosis.
Okay.
And one of the results of endometriosis is what? Secondary infertility, difficulty in getting kids.
Yeah.
So from that angle, now I was like, okay, what if we never get kids? Then what? You know. And then for some reason, I had a very intense fear of dying while getting kids. So there was also that was triggering. I was like, what if we never get kids? You know, what is the other option? Are you okay with not having kids? With not having someone that looks like you? You know. So we had those conversations, and we were both open to adoption, because I was adopted and he had been to children's homes, etc. And for him, adoption was not a question. He also was interested in it. but we hadn't really like considered it. Anyway.
It's just like you again. It's
Yeah.
an easy conversation to have, but when life gets real,
Yeah.
then it can really affect you.
Exactly.
So now you say you decided to wait for 2 years. So in these 2 years, what were you using contrast?
Yes, so I had an implant. It's called Implanon. So it has the hormone called progesterone.
Okay.
So it managed the pain that I used to have. So I had minimal to no pain for those years, which was really good. But I knew this at the back of my mind, but not really, like, it wasn't at the front of my, it was affecting my body.
Yeah.
You know, it was changing some aspect of my body. So it made it even more difficult to conceive as well, because it has to be weaned out of your body, and it can take months to get that hormone out of your body. I had started the pill in 2015, one of those pills. I don't remember which one it was. So in 2015, I was taking it because of the pain. So I have hormones from 2015. Then 2016, we got married. I put an implant for 3 years. You get? So 2016 to 2019, I've been having this hormone filling my body.
Yeah.
So it also contributed to not being able to get a kid. And you're not told, you kind of have been told by the doctor, but not really, you don't really get it, you know.
So 2 years, you decide it's time to try.
Yeah.
And then nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
And you wait for
It was
how
actually
many years after?
2.5 years, because we got married in 2016,
Okay.
August. So this is 2019 when we decided to take out the implant. Let's try. Yeah, so we tried 2019, 2021. Then in 2021, yeah, we are beyond, as in what? Despite all the odds, because we had seen the doctors, we had done, I've told you, we had injections.
Yeah.
I had procedures, a procedure called HSG, not HSG, but HCG, where they put a dye in you, and it's excruciatingly painful. So they did, it depends on who is doing it. So the person who did it made it really painful. So I was done. I was so tired of these procedures. I was just like, I'm done. And funny thing, people normally say when you get your mind off of the problem and off of trying, then God comes through. And that's what happened. So we got pregnant in 2021. But the pressures of work, again, I was in a workplace that was really fast-paced, which is not a bad thing. But I had an experience where tulikwaruzana na mtu at the workplace, and I think I had a lot of stress and pressure or something. Then we lost the baby in November of that year.
I remember that season.
Yeah. It was really, really hard. For us. Remember, we've been trying for a long time.
Yeah.
And then we had told family, they were all so happy, and then that happened.
I remember you guys telling us as well.
Yeah.
And it was finally, because again, being part of your journey, we knew the journey that you guys were on. We were part of the praying for you guys as well. But for some reason, so lately I have come to learn that my discernment is actually very, very, very high. Like, to me, I always knew you would get a child. And I don't know how, but I always knew it would come.
Yeah.
And so when you shared the first pregnancy news, I was like, wow, finally you know.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, I used to tell Sam, you know, Yvonne's story, maybe God is just using it for someone else in the future. And so for me, that's why it's such an honor to even like sit down with you and just like go through this story. Because like I have seen God do exceedingly. And sometimes I know we don't understand why bad things happen at some time in our lives. But even that for me was hope. Like, in as much as, because imagine you have waited, you have never gotten pregnant, you don't know how it feels to be, and then all of a sudden you're pregnant. And in as much as you lost the baby and it's painful, but it was kind of hope. Like, my womb can actually carry, you know.
There's that hope, but there's also the sadness of there's actually a friend of mine had been told that her womb is hostile.
Hostile.
Like,
it
she also
doesn't
lost
want
a baby.
Oh.
And sometimes
some
the
words
the
are
doctors
very
use,
I
my
know
goodness. So like, my womb is hostile.
like
what do you mean?
what
You know?
would I do even about
Exactly. So anyway, eventually when God did it again, we didn't tell anyone. We only told one couple. I think you guys even found out later.
Yeah. You were telling me, I
one-
think 4 months. 5 months.
Maybe around 5.
Mm.
We didn't tell people. We told one couple because we believed we needed someone who would really pray with us.
Yeah.
That this baby would be safe. And we told family like at 5 months, as we said, telling people now, depending on our closeness, from 5 months. That's when we started not telling. And we didn't tell everyone. Some people found out
You have a baby.
like on month 8, and baby came in month 8. Because again, at some point he had stopped growing as was expected towards the end. So the doctor said, anyway, because you're almost 22, we just get baby out and monitor him from outside. So yeah, baby came. It was a very easy pregnancy, I think.
Like you looked nothing
my
like
goodness.
a pregnant lady.
I had been trying to lose weight. I lost weight during pregnancy.
I
and
know,
not because
and
I
you
was
look-
I didn't vomit, nothing. I was like, ha! So to lose weight, just get pregnant. Anyway, not that it won't happen. It will happen again. I don't know. But it was a very easy and relaxed pregnancy for me. And so, yeah, you guys did an amazing baby shower. I cried. My eyes, I couldn't even speak. You guys told me to talk. I didn't even talk.
Wewe kukimbiza syllabus.
Najua.
You found you're pregnant. How did that feel the second time? Yes, despite not telling people, maybe because of fear, but how was that feeling?
It was
And
very
do you think you had
scary.
grieved the other baby? Or again, you
I think I
packed
had,
it?
but I still have moments where I'm still grieving on and off. So it's a continuous process. But there's an assurance God had given me after like a week of just crying that he would do it again. Not that I didn't trust him, but for me in my head I said, okay, he'll do it again, but it doesn't have to be by biological birth. So I think I told you, I normally put my expectations huku chini.
Okay. May Lord help some of us.
So I had not given up, but I had made peace with the situation and made peace with it might not be biological. It may be another way, you know. So even when we found out, I was very scared because it was like, what if the same thing happens? So we said, we're not telling anybody so that if it happens, we're not breaking hearts of too many people, you know. It's just us and this couple that we've told. But yeah, it was very scary. Then when we passed the mark of the mark for us was the number of weeks at which we had lost the other child. When we passed that number of weeks, we were like, hiya. Okay, we waited another week, hiya. The other week. Then more months are added. I'm like, hiya, we're in the 3rd trimester. Do you know, actually the pregnancy wasn't visible. We went for ile shoot tulienda pale nini Westi. And I remember we said it was a family shoot. And then we wanted to also extend it into a baby bump shoot. And the photographer was like, no, what you'll do, you'll come back after a few more months when baby is visible, when the bump is visible, then you do the shoot. I'm like, when naenda hosi next week kupata mtoi.
I know, like you carried that pregnancy so well. Like I think even that time I told you, yani God didn't allow you to now again suffer, even like from this pregnancy. Like it was so beautiful to watch you. You were in good health. Like you didn't add any weight. Like you just like you lost weight nicely. You know, like you looked very beautiful pregnant.
And God just came through for us. I don't know what to say about that. It's just God reminding us. And again, that's what another stone that I carry, like the Israelites, that rock of remembrance of God. God did it here as he had done it there. Like God doesn't change. He doesn't change with seasons, with circumstances. If he says he's gonna do something, he's gonna do it. I didn't expect it to be a biological child, but he still did it.
He exceeded your
He exceeded my expectations. You know, so yeah.
Wow. So I remember your baby shower. How did that make you feel?
Where I really did not want to speak, because if I opened my mouth, I would have cried the entire time. So even when you guys told me to speak, I refused. I just said thank you. I'm not going to say anything else but thank you. I was totally, because everyone who came knew our story. Our church, I remember, I'm going to cry. But I love our church so much, because when people go through grief, they come with food. Like they understand that you may not be in a position to cook or whatever, and they just come and sit with you. They come with food. They fill your fridge with food. I was like, what? And we had just joined that church in 2019 in a season of also, we are trying, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so seeing them at the baby shower and thinking, these guys have intimately worked with us. They had paid for us Brackenhurst. We spent some time at Brackenhurst grieving the loss of our child. They paid for us to be away from home and just go grieve.
Wow.
So seeing them come, like close friends just come for
I know.
Yeah.
I remember we crowed, guys, that shower. And I think it's you see when the Bible says, and I think I like nowadays to quote that verse a lot about like they overcame by the power of their testimony.
Yeah.
To me, that was that moment. Like it was just like, Yani God, you're so good. And I remember worship playing, and I cried like that day, because I think I had come from doing your makeup. So I had to come to the studio, drop
and
stuff.
You were keeping the secret.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea there was a shower going on.
I know, you deserved that surprise. I was just like, let nothing spoil this day.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, from spending the day with you, seeing you now doing the baby bump shoot, coming, dropping stuff and coming to your place, like I felt like I had so many emotions.
Yeah.
And the fact that I knew the journey, it was just like, yeah, God, you're so good.
And that was everyone there knew the journey. No one was oblivious.
And
they just worshipped.
It was so beautiful.
Wow.
It was a moment of thanking God. Yeah.
You guys blessed my heart.
Oh.
You blessed my heart, Kabisa. And you're still in our lives. Like the same group of people is the same one that is still in the birthdays of our kids. Now we have 2 kids now.
Yeah.
So these are the same people who come for the birthdays, who come for the, significant, lives of these kids. And let me tell you, having close friends, you don't need many, but having that intimate crowd makes all the difference.
Wow.
There's a retreat I had planned to go for last year.
Okay.
That was happening this year. Then kazi kakatika, so I said I wouldn't go for it. But a friend of mine really insisted I should go for it. It's called the Soul Care Retreat. And it was happening at one of these Catholic sisters' homes that's normally around, I think, Karen area. And it was just a retreat where you go and sit down with your heart and your soul and ask God to examine what is in my soul, what is in my heart. And the person who was moderating the whole thing, it was for 4 days. I did 3 days because I had to go home because of the kids. But what she was doing was helping us go through every stage of our life between year 0 to year 3, between the stages of your life, and just go through and think about what you've gone through in each stage, the feelings that you have when you think about that stage of your life. What are those feelings? What words were spoken to you or against you in those seasons? Like going through your entire life to find out, are there words that were spoken that brought me down? Have they defined who I am to date? I remember one of the things a lecturer in university told me was, he asked me, why are you an average student? And I have carried that for the longest time in my heart. I am an average student, I am an average lawyer, I am an average person in life. And until that soul retreat, I didn't understand the magnitude of those words that were spoken. Someone may have called you, you wouldn't amount to anything. And maybe without knowing it, you've carried it to this, trying to prove that person wrong. You're doing this thing in a certain way to try and prove someone wrong. Or your parents did something and you say, I'll never be like my mom. You think that is a good thing to say. I'll never be like so-and-so. So you end up trying so hard not to be like a person that you end up becoming like them or worse.
Yeah. And never yourself.
Exactly. Not the person that God has intended for you to be. So at that retreat, we were given like flower pots, the shallow ones, the shallow round ones, and they were filled with soil. And then there were pieces of things on a table you're supposed to pick that represent certain things. So say there were some thorns, which in the Bible they represent worry. In the story of the soil, in the Gospels, when it talks about there was a farmer who was sowing seed, some seed fell on thorns, some seed fell on blah blah blah. So that's what's supposed to represent the soil of your heart. And so there were thorns that represent anxiety. For me, that had taken center stage in my heart because I had just lost a job. So I was really anxious and worried. So I put it in the center of my flower pot. And then there were rocks representing words that have been spoken against you or to you that have defined who you are. Then there was rubbish, like to takataka. So the takataka represented the small things you've allowed to get into your heart. The sin here and there, pornography, those things that you've allowed to get in. Then there was now sin, like you are actually doing certain things that are sin. So the takataka represents you've watched something on the TV, your eyes have seen something, or and you've allowed them to get into your heart. Yeah. So it was basically seeing your heart physically, your soul physically, and naming things that are in your heart. And she was telling us we took time to actually ask God to help us work on removing these things out of our hearts. And I remember that for me, the thing I needed at that point to get out was that thing of anxiety and worry about the job. And then there were also these other things, the words that were spoken like about me being average, the bitterness from the job situation I've talked about as well, and other things that have happened in my life. And I could actually say, this is it. I could pinpoint. Once you call something out, it no longer has power over you. You call it by its name, it has no power over you. And you can deal with it together with God to get it out of your heart so that you can clean up your heart, clean up your soul, get the healing that you need to move on. And for me, I think I'd encourage anyone and everyone, man, woman, to go through your life, the stages of your life, remembering everything that has happened in every stage of your life. Whatever that God brings and puts on your mind, that you'd call it out and ask God, please, remember when I was 6 years old, so and so did this, and it's still defining me to date. Please take it out of my heart. I no longer want to carry it. Yeah. So that you no longer have a hold on. You never know it's affecting your life to date, And so I've learned to take time in God's word, take time to pray, take time to really sit down and be quiet. We don't know how to be quiet in this day and age. Yeah. You're on your phone, there's background music. Sometimes switch off even that gospel music you're listening to. Sit down and breathe in and out. Just slowly breathe in and out in a quiet place with no distractions. And just ask God, speak to me.
Yeah.
Or sit with me. Just be here with me. But just sit and be quiet and be calm and let go of devices. Just sit. I'm not doing it perfectly. I'd really like to do it more, but we need to be in quiet spaces more. Yeah. And just seek God. Yeah. And just listen and just speak to God and listen to God. Wow. Yeah.
Wow. What a guest, what a woman, guys. Thank you so much, Yvonne. Maybe even as, wow, that was powerful. Sit with yourself. And even as you're speaking, the Bible says that there's that still small voice. So if a voice is small, if a voice is still, then you need to really be quieted for you to actually hear the voice of Holy Spirit now in this context. And so I think it's very important, because even when we say, I don't hear God, God is never silent. Yes, you can be in a silent, but even in the silence, it's not like he's away. He's still there with you. But God is ever speaking to us. He wants to commune with us. He wants to speak to us. But how are you going to hear? How are you going to know a voice of a shepherd that you don't spend time with? So I think even in that, it's like, be intentional, even in that hearing. Like, just know it won't just happen overnight. Like, you also have a part to play. But that was powerful. Yeah. I'm definitely going to prioritize my quiet time more. Yeah, so maybe just as a parting shot to a woman, especially this thing of the waiting wombs, like, what is that one thing that maybe would encourage someone who is in that situation of waiting? You waited for 5 years?
5 years.
5 years. Yeah, for that mom out there, and especially now for you, it's good because God used your family for you where there was no pressure. But there, like, especially in the African setup, like this, there are women who are really wounded, not even now because of not having the child, but because of the voices that surround them. But what is that one thing that maybe you would tell a waiting womb somewhere?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. These I learned recently in this season of actually waiting for a job. It actually spoke to me, I think, a bit more, because it was an immediate need that I had. And someone said that, yes, waiting is hard. And sometimes when you're waiting, you have to sit and do nothing. Yeah? Because you've done everything you can. And it gets to a point where there's nothing more to do, you sit and do nothing. And it can seem as though you're being lazy, or someone can tell you you've not tried enough. That's how you end up seeing people are going to witch doctors.
Yeah.
Or to people to do rituals. Or you find if it's a husband, he's decided to take a second wife because you can't get a child. And that person was saying that in a season that you have to wait and sit and do nothing, that is the season where you're strongest. Because sitting and doing nothing but trusting builds your soul more than if God were to give it to you now, Shika. You know?
Yeah.
It builds your soul, it builds your character, it builds your persistence more than it would if there was no waiting. So you are strongest in the waiting period. So I'd encourage you to keep trusting. I'd encourage you to enjoy the life that God has given you, because that life in itself is a blessing. You know, you don't focus too much on the blessing that you really want and miss out on the blessing that He has already given. I think at some point I had missed out on the blessings that I already had. The husband I had, the job I had, the family I had, focusing on, let's go to Hosi, let me do. So you're in tests and procedures, all you think about and know about is the pain you've gone through in the procedure and how God is not yet coming through, even though you've gone through all that pain. And you can live such a resentful and hurt life because you already have not seen the blessings that you already have. And you're not enjoying them because you're waiting for the one that you think you deserve and expect, you know. And so I'll encourage you to enjoy the blessing that you have now. I know it is hard, having been there, to hear someone tell you, enjoy what you have now, and this is also something that God has given you a desire for. But I don't know how else to put it in words that God can and will come through. But again, God is God. He decides when, He decides if, you know, if He will do it. He is still sovereign. And I really pray to God that if He has chosen that you would go a different route than biological children, that He would help you and give you the grace to do it. That if He has decided it's adoption for you, that He will open your eyes to see it and embrace it for what it is. Because these kids in orphanages are still children who need love and homes. And that He will put it in your heart to consider. Not to downplay that you have a desire for a child of your own, but that blessings of God come in different ways. Maybe one day I'll tell another story, not today.
She'll be back.
But trust God. But worship Him for who He is, not what He'll give you. Worship Him for who He is, not what He can give you. Even when what He can give you is not coming, worship Him for who He is. He honors that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What a woman. I'm so blessed, Yvonne, and thank you so much for honoring us. I think you're my third guest so far, and it's such a joy because I feel like your story, it's one that truly glorifies God and one that really can heal another woman. And thank you for being courageous. Thank you for sharing authentically. Thank you for taking your time even out and just sitting here with me on this couch. And I truly hope and believe that whoever this is purposed for, like, it's gonna reach them, it's gonna edify them, it's gonna change their perspective, and it is gonna heal someone out there. Congratulations on your new job.
Thank you.
Yeah, so guys, she has a new job.
Hey, started yesterday. Story for another day.
Which you were saying from when we, I think we went back.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think we had reached you. Now you went back to
to my previous employer. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
thank you for this opportunity.
Oh.
Yani, guys, it's not easy to start a podcast, to sit and decide to be vulnerable and try and find people who want to be vulnerable on camera.
I'm not sure.
I know, it's hard to get even people to come. Hata mimi si ati nilikuwa sure.
You did well. And I'm happy that God allowed you to be here.
Thank you for being God.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you too, Mama. Yeah, so guys, we can stay here. But that is Yvonne. I'm so excited for this episode. I truly am looking forward for it to get out to you. And I hope if you have watched up to this point, I hope you have been encouraged. I hope it has healed you in some area, whether you're that child who has lost a parent at this young age, or even maybe you never got to grief, because I know it's not everyone who is privileged to still have their parents there right now. I hope that encourages you, that seeing Yvonne here now encourages you to know that there is hope, there is a future that awaits you, and God's plan for your life still remains to be good, still remains to be perfect. And also the bit about the shame at workplace where there's sexual harassment. How do you go around handling that? You are a victim, so don't allow the enemy to put guilt and shame to you, because that's not from God. And in God there's total freedom. So if he says you're free indeed. And we have to be people who truly takes what God's word says and runs with that as the truth, because the world will always have so much other things to say that are not true. And I hope that even for a mom who is waiting, that this edifies you, this encourages you to know that God will come. Yet he's sovereign, but he's a good father. That's who he is. His character is and nature is good, and he has a good plan for you as well, and your future is secured in his hand. Yeah, so thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe down below. Like this video, share with someone who you truly feel led to and that they would benefit from this episode. And also leave us a comment down below. What is that one thing that you are going through right now? What is that one thing that you picked even from this episode? And yeah, until next week, guys, bye bye. Wambe bye.
Bye, guys.
Before we cut kabisa, as you know, this is me podcast, and so one thing we ask our guests is to just give us one statement from the episode or from their life when they say, because this is me is very personalized. When I say this is me, this is me. When Yvonne says this is me, this is Yvonne. You get? Yeah. So what is that one statement for Yvonne that comes to mind when you say this is me? Yeah, take it on.
Wow. I would say that I am...
No, without it. This is me.
This is me. I am a lover of God who's been broken and built up, who's been loved and forgiven, who's been rescued and saved.
Aww.
Who owes everything to God, honestly. Who owes everything to God. So
Wow.
this is me.